Are you looking for a space where you will learn to improve your mental strength, emotional health, and heal your insecurities from the inside out? Take the first step to living a more meaningful life with the Better Me with Body by Bree podcast. I'm your host, Bree. I'm a certified personal trainer, entrepreneur, and mother of 3. I've helped empower thousands of women to take action through fitness, nutrition, meditation, personal development, and aligning thoughts with action. This podcast is for those who are ready to feel inspired and motivated to live a more purposeful life. Let's grow together. Have you ever felt or heard something in your mind, but you discredit it and then it comes true? You think there's no way I could have known that, but somewhere deep inside, you did know. You did have a feeling, but you doubted your intuition because you haven't fully embraced your own power. I have seen this happen way too many times by women I'm surrounded by, and I love to help them hone into their natural intuition to tap into their unique power. So in this episode, we will discover what intuition really is, how to recognize it, how to strengthen your intuition, and how to use it in your life to tap into your true power. Let's get started. Hello, friends. I'm really excited about this podcast. Well, I'm always excited about every podcast, but this podcast topic actually came to me in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep last week and I was laying there, and all of a sudden, all these thoughts for this podcast started flooding into my mind, and I just started writing. So I wrote down all these notes at 3 in the morning. And here we are. So it's funny how that happens sometimes. And it actually goes along with the message of this podcast. So I used to think that those thoughts in the middle of the night were just my brain going crazy. But now I listen to them. And I always get my best ideas in the middle of the night, when I wake up from sleep or when I'm half asleep or even in my dreams. I get a lot of my messages from my dreams. So this might sound a little crazy to some, but I believe that every one of us has a very strong intuition, and we are a lot more in tune than we think. It just takes a little practice. So what exactly is intuition? The definition of intuition is an immediate understanding or knowing something without reasoning. So, an example of intuition could be like having a feeling about someone before you even know them. So, it's the direct knowing or learning of something without the conscious use of reasoning. It's just a gut feeling, you just know. So, knowing this is really just helping you to know that it is a feeling that you get, and there are actually ways to strengthen your intuition. So before we talk about the ways to strengthen your intuition, I just wanted to share a story with you. And this is actually a very personal story to me and really special, but I feel like it can help a lot of women. So I'm going to share it. So, my mom, from the time I was little, always told me that I have a gift, and I didn't really believe her when I was younger. But as I started having experiences happen to me, and I started trusting myself and my intuition or promptings, then the more it started getting stronger and stronger. So, and I will preface by saying, like, I don't think you have to have a gift. Like, everybody has intuition. It's just most people don't know how to tap into it. They don't know how to recognize it. They don't know how to practice it. And so it goes to waste. So that's why I'm sharing this story with you, because I want you to know how an example of how to tap into your intuition. So one day I was working, and all of a sudden I felt like I couldn't think anymore. Like the screen was blocked. It was really weird. And I almost felt like I was just completely blocked from thinking or working. And it was like there was a wall there. So I sat there for a minute and I decided to go meditate in my closet to figure out what this feeling was. Now, normally, if I didn't trust myself or my intuition, I would have just kept working and I wouldn't think anything of it, right? I would have just been like, that was weird. I wonder why I couldn't think. And I just keep going on with my day. But I've really been honoring my feelings. And the last few years, I've been really trying to recognize when I feel or hear something. And so I decided to meditate on it. And I went into my quiet, dark closet and I just sat there and I asked, so I believe in God, but if you don't, you can ask the universe or your higher power or whatever your belief system is. But I asked God. So I asked God, I sat in silence and I said, okay, God, tell me what this feeling is and why I'm feeling blocked. And instantly I heard clear as day, you're planning all these retreats for next year and you need to plan for your last baby. And this hit me like a ton of bricks because I was done having children. Like in my mind, Mila was my last baby. As far as I knew, I was happy and content with 3 kids. So I actually started crying because this was a really big decision for me. And I sat there in silence with my eyes closed. And I saw a little boy run up to me and say, "Thank you, Mom." And he was hugging me. And he was 5 years old with blonde hair, but it wasn't Jameson. And instantly, I knew that that was my little boy, and I had one more baby. But I needed another confirmation because I was still in shock. I didn't like want to feel like this was all in my head, right? Like this is a huge decision. So even me, I'm like, okay, this was a really crazy, cool experience, but like, what if I made this up, right? Like a lot of people think that they doubt themselves. So I said a prayer and I asked for a second confirmation. I was like, okay, if this is true, God, I need a second confirmation because this is a huge decision and I really want it to be done. I really don't want another baby. So I prayed and asked for a second confirmation. Well, that night, I had the same exact dream of a little 5-year-old boy running up to me and hugging me, saying, "Thank you, Mom." And it was as if he knew all of the things that I would be giving up and how hard it would be for me. And it's almost like he knew that I needed that little spiritual experience to keep me going, that it's all going to be worth it. And it was very emotional. It was such an amazing experience. Well, then a month later, my mom was working on me. She does cranial sacral therapy, and she's sitting there working on me and she's like, there's somebody here. And I immediately knew it was my little boy. And I said, "Is it a little boy?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's a little boy that's like 5 years old." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And she's like, "He's hugging you." And I immediately got chills because I could like feel it in my heart, like it was just the coolest experience. I can't even describe to you how cool it was. And so obviously I started crying. I told Adam, he starts crying, and he'd felt for a year that we had one more boy. So he was ecstatic, but I just couldn't get on board. I needed my own experience. So this was my own experience. So then I was like, okay, I know there's a boy, but it's not right now. I'll know when it is because I had a lot of anxiety about it. And so I was like, I really just want to feel peaceful about it. So I put it on the shelf, and like 8 months later, my best friend Berkeley, she had been struggling with infertility for 2 years, and she had done multiple rounds of IUI and she couldn't get pregnant. Well, that night I had a dream that she showed me a pregnancy test that said yes. And then all of a sudden I had a pregnancy test and it said yes. And we were screaming and jumping up and down and like, oh my gosh, we were so excited. We're going to be pregnant together. And when I woke up, I told my husband, that dream was so realistic. I have to call Berkeley. I think she's going to get pregnant. So I called Berkeley and I said, "Hey, I had this dream. I think you're going to get pregnant soon." And literally less than a week later, she calls me and shows me a positive pregnancy test that says yes, just like I saw in my dream. And we're screaming, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening. So, like 2 days later, I took a pregnancy test. I had no symptoms. I hadn't missed my period or anything, but I was like, well, what if my dream's coming true? and it was positive. And so we're due 3 days apart. Like, I still can't even believe it. We're due 3 days apart. I actually haven't even announced that I'm pregnant yet, but when this podcast airs, I will have already announced. So now I know that this story might sound a little crazy, but the reason I'm telling you is because I truly believe that we all have the capability to tap into this intuition if we just practice and recognize what it is when it's happening. So it doesn't even have to be big, it can be small. Like when you're starting out, you can start by listening to your gut instinct about people or situations. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've turned down a working relationship that seemed like a dream just because my gut was telling me it wasn't a good idea. Or we found this dream house that we really wanted to buy, and for some reason, I didn't feel good about it. I just had a pit in my gut, so we didn't buy it. So you have to trust your instincts. You have to know that your intuition is there and it's working for you. So I will say too, I interchange the word intuition and promptings because I do feel sometimes it's my own spirit or my higher self. Sometimes I feel like it's my ancestors helping me, and sometimes it's God. So, whatever your personal belief system is, you can make it work for you. So, when I say your intuition or promptings, it could be interchangeable. But let's talk about 4 ways that you can strengthen your intuition. So one of the number one ways is meditation, or just being still, being silent, because you cannot hear your inner voice with constant distraction and noise. Like right now, we are always on our phone, right? We are always constantly, we have music on or the TV on, or we're at a stoplight and we pull out Instagram. Like, we never just sit in silence. And if you're a mom, that's even more chaotic. I feel like we wake up with chaos and we go to bed with chaos. So you have to quiet your mind and prioritize that and listen. And you'll be surprised how much you hear and how much you connect with yourself. A lot of people get intimidated by meditation, but it's really just sitting in silence and quieting your mind so you don't really need to overcomplicate it. It's just quieting your mind. So sometimes I'll have a question that I like to ask, and I'm just sitting pondering the question, and then an answer will come to me. So, like, if I didn't stop when I had that feeling that I was being blocked from working and I didn't go meditate, I would have missed that opportunity to have a really cool spiritual experience. So the more you listen to yourself and your promptings, the stronger they become and the more frequent they happen. Number 2 is spend time in nature. So nature is where I hear a lot of my answers as well. I don't put headphones in. I give myself time to just be and just listen and be still in nature. And I also love to do my energy circles at the top of the mountain, like after my hike. I just fill myself up with positivity. I have another podcast on the energy circle. I think it's like my second podcast ever, if you want to listen to that. But being in nature, I feel you're closest to God and you're closest to your natural state. And you get a lot of answers when you don't have your headphones in. Number 3 is practice. So you have to practice honing into your intuition. For example, when you're in a room full of people, try to tap into people and see if you can feel their energy or what they're like. I love doing this when I meet people. I can tell if they've had a hard day or if they need some extra love that day or if they're super happy or whatever the case may be. I try to tap into who they are, and it's a really fun way to practice your intuition. And when you make decisions, take a minute and pause and just try to see if you can tell how you feel first. Do you feel light and peaceful? Do you feel heavy, or do you have a pit in your stomach? Just really hone in on how you feel. Another cool experience was my sister was having a baby, and she was kind of having a hard time because it wasn't planned and it was her 5th baby and she was feeling very overwhelmed. And I told her to go to a quiet room and ask to connect with this little spirit, like ask to feel her and see her spirit, and even maybe get a message from her and draw strength from her presence and her, her little spirit. And she had a really cool experience before she even knew it was a girl. And her little girl told her not to worry because she always wanted her and that it would all be okay. And it was just this really cool message that she got. And you never know what messages you'll get when you're still, when you're open and you're still and you're ready. I will say, here is the hardest part. You cannot second guess yourself. So I was talking with my friends and they were saying that they struggle with this because they will have thoughts in their head, but then they discredit them and then they actually end up coming true. So they're like, how do you know if it's really your thoughts and if it's intuition or if it's just like a dumb thought going through your mind? And I told her, just ask yourself, hey, was this a gut feeling? And just sit there and you'll know. Just listen to yourself. Trust yourself. It really is all about just trusting yourself. The more you see how powerful you are, the more you can use it in your life to help you make decisions and to have these really cool experiences. So it is easier than you think to tap into your intuition, and you don't have to have some special gift to do it. Anyone can do it. Everyone has this gift. You simply have to trust yourself and practice. So to recap, what you're going to do to strengthen your intuition is you're going to meditate or take time to be still. You're going to be in nature more without your headphones, and you're going to practice. Ask yourself, is this my gut intuition? And just try to hone in. So that's it. That's how you strengthen your intuition. You got this. You are more powerful than you think. Like, you will have the most amazing experiences. I know you will. You just have to trust yourself. I can't wait to see what messages you get. If you want to share them with me, please do. I love, love, love helping women just see how powerful they are and hone into their intuition. So I will talk to you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for joining us in today's episode. If you liked the content and want to hear more, remember to hit that subscribe button and write a review. As a small business owner, I appreciate it more than you know. If you are looking for a program to help with self-confidence, to lose weight, get in shape, and work on your mental, physical, and emotional health, check out my training programs on www.bodybybree.com. My team and I help to hold you accountable through the Body by Bree app, where you log in to see all your workouts, custom meal plan made specifically for you and your needs, and communication through the messenger. You are never alone when you're on the Body by Bree training program. Click the link in the show notes to get more information on how to transform your life from the inside out.